The Velen Dominion had ruled the stars for 3,000 years. They had conquered over 200 species. They had burned worlds and broken empires. And now, Admiral Eunice stood on the bridge of her flagship and looked at the small blue and green planet below. It was called New Jungju, a human agricultural colony, nothing special. Just farms and small towns and simple people living simple lives. Eunice smiled. This would be easy. Her fleet of 40 warships hung in orbit like metal birds waiting to strike. The humans below had no idea what was coming. They had no military ships in the system, no defense platforms, no weapons that could reach orbit. They were farmers. They grew food. They raised children. They lived peaceful lives. The Velen Dominion did not care about peaceful lives. "Begin the bombardment," Una ordered. Her voice was cold. She had given this order many times before. She would give it many times again. The first plasma rounds fell from the sky like angry stars. They struck the capital city first. Buildings exploded. Streets turned to fire. People ran and screamed and died. The Velen soldiers watched from orbit and felt nothing. This was just another conquest. This was just another world to add to their empire. On the surface, a farmer named Tay was working in his fields when the sky caught fire. He looked up and saw the bright streaks of light falling toward the city. He heard the distant thunder of explosions. He smelled smoke on the wind. His daughter Somi came running from the house. She was only 8 years old. Her eyes were wide with fear. "Appa, what is happening? What is that sound?" Tay grabbed her hand and ran toward the emergency shelter behind their home. Every colony had these shelters. Every human knew they might need them someday. But Tay had never thought that day would come. New Jungju was so far from trouble, so quiet, so safe. They reached the shelter, and Tay pulled open the heavy door. He pushed Somi inside and looked back at the horizon. The city was burning. Orange and red flames climbed into the sky. He could see ships now. Alien ships. They were moving toward the farms. Tay's wife, Mina, was in the city. She had gone to the market that morning. She had kissed him goodbye and said she would bring back fresh fish for dinner. Tay felt his heart break. He stepped into the shelter and closed the door. Somi was crying. Tay held her close and whispered words he did not believe. "It will be okay. It will be okay." But he knew it would not be okay. The shelter had an emergency beacon. It was a simple device, just a button and a microphone. It sent messages through space using relay stations that humanity had built across the stars. The message would travel to Earth. Someone would hear it. Someone would know. Tay pressed the button and spoke into the microphone. His voice was shaking. His words were simple. "This is New Jungju. We are under attack. Alien ships. Many of them. They are killing us. Please, if anyone can hear this, we are still here. We are still alive. Please help us. Please." He let go of the button. He did not know if anyone would hear. He did not know if anyone would come. He only knew that he had to try. Above them, the Velen ships continued their work. They bombed the cities. They burned the farms. They killed anyone who tried to fight back. Admiral Una watched from her bridge and felt satisfaction. The humans were weak. The humans were easy. The humans would make good slaves. She did not know that Tay's message was already traveling through space. She did not know that it would reach Earth in 6 hours. She did not know that humans had a very different understanding of what a colony meant to the Velen Dominion. A colony was just a place, just a piece of land, just a resource to take to humanity. A colony was family, and humanity did not abandon family. The message traveled through 17 relay stations. It crossed 400 light years. It reached Earth on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. It reached the desk of a communications officer named Hannah. She listened to it once. Then she listened to it again. Then she called her superior. Then that superior called another superior. And within 1 hour, the message had reached the highest levels of human government. Within 2 hours, every nation on Earth had seen it. Within 3 hours, Every human colony had received a copy. Within 4 hours, the word had spread to every ship, every station, every outpost. Every mining operation, every research facility, every trading post. A human world was burning. Humans were dying, and someone was going to answer for it. On New Jungju, Tae held his daughter in the darkness of the shelter. He could hear explosions above them. He could feel the ground shake. He did not know if help would come. He did not know if anyone had heard his message, but he hoped. And 400 light years away, humanity was waking up. Fleet Admiral Han was 70 years old. He had gray hair and tired eyes and a face that rarely showed emotion. He had commanded Earth's defense forces for 30 years. In all that time, he had never fired a shot in anger. Humanity had been at peace. The stars were quiet. There were no enemies to fight. That changed on a Tuesday afternoon. Han was sitting in a meeting room with other military leaders. They were discussing budgets. They were talking about ship maintenance. They were bored. Then an aide walked in. Her name was Lieutenant Nari. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. "Sir," she said, "you need to see this." She placed a tablet on the table. She pressed a button. And the room fell silent. They watched the footage from New Jungju. They saw the plasma rounds falling from the sky. They saw buildings exploding. They saw people running through fire. They heard screaming. They heard crying. They heard a father's voice asking for help. When it was over, no one spoke for a long time. Then Admiral Han stood up. His movements were slow. His face was calm. But his eyes held something that his officers had never seen before. It was anger. Cold, deep, terrible anger. "Who did this?" he asked. "They call themselves the Velen Dominion," Nari said. "We have very little information about them. They control a large area of space on the other side of the galaxy. They have conquered many species. This appears to be their first contact with humanity. And they chose to attack our people." "Yes, sir." Han nodded slowly. He looked around the room at the other officers. Some were angry. Some were scared. Some were already thinking about strategy and tactics. Han did not care about strategy right now. He cared about one thing only. "Wake them all," he said. Nar blinked. "Sir, every fleet, every reserve force, every ship we have in storage, every armed vessel that can fly, every colony defense group, every private military ship, every mining vessel that can hold a weapon, every volunteer. Wake them all." The room was quiet. Someone coughed. "Sir," another officer said carefully, "that would be unprecedented. We have never mobilized the full military capacity of humanity. We do not even know how many ships that would be." "I do not care how many ships it is," Han said. "I care that our people are dying. I care that someone attacked our home, our family." He looked at each officer in turn. "Send the message. Send it everywhere. Tell them what happened. Tell them where to go. And tell them to bring everything they have." The message went out that night. It traveled to every human world, every station, every ship, every place where humans lived and worked and dreamed. The message was simple. It showed the footage from New Jungju. It showed the fires. It showed the death. And then it said 3 words: "We need you." The response was immediate. On Mars, the old dreadnoughts were pulled from their museum orbits. Ships that had not flown in 100 years were powered up and made ready for war. Volunteers flooded the recruiting stations. Mechanics worked through the night to repair engines and weapons. On the asteroid belt, miners put down their tools and picked up guns. Their ships were not military vessels. They were haulers and diggers and cargo carriers. But the miners knew how to fight. Life in the belt was hard. It made hard people on distant colonies. Defense forces that had never seen combat loaded their weapons and prepared their ships. Young pilots who had trained in simulators strapped into real cockpits for the first time, and everywhere. Private citizens answered the call. A woman named Bora was a cargo pilot. She flew a small ship between trading posts. She had no military training. She had no weapons. But when she saw the message, she knew what she had to do. She sold everything she owned and bought a fighter. A small one. Old and battered. But it could fly and it could shoot. An old man named Wu had retired 20 years ago. His ship was ancient. His crew was his family. His grandchildren had never seen a weapon fired in anger, but Wu remembered the old days. He remembered when humans were young in the stars. He remembered what it meant to fight. "We go," he told his family. "We go because they need us." His granddaughter looked at him with wide eyes. "But grandfather, we are just one ship. We are old and slow." Wu smiled. It was a fierce smile. "One ship is nothing, but we are not one ship." "Look," he pointed at the sensor screen. It showed ships. Hundreds of ships. Thousands of ships. All moving in the same direction. All answering the same call. "We are humanity," Wu said. "And today, we remember who we are." On Earth, Admiral Han watched the reports come in. Ships were launching from every world. Fleets were forming. Volunteers were signing up faster than they could be processed. He had asked humanity to wake up. Deep Space Staging Point Hala was a place between stars. There was nothing there. Just empty space and darkness. It was the meeting point. The place where the human fleet would gather before moving to New Jungju. Captain Day arrived first with his battle group. He commanded the warship Baidu. It was a modern cruiser with 12 escort vessels. A strong force, a proud force. Day expected to find 100 ships waiting. Maybe 200. A respectable fleet for a rescue mission. He was wrong. When the Baidu dropped out of faster-than-light travel, Day stood on his bridge and stared at the sensor display. His tactical officer, a young woman named Gina, was running the same calculations over and over again. "This cannot be right," she whispered. "Count them again," Day ordered. "I have counted 7 times, Captain. The number keeps changing, because ships keep arriving." Day looked out the main window. The stars were gone. In their place were lights. Thousands of lights. Tens of thousands of lights. Ships of every shape and size stretched across the void as far as he could see. More arrived every minute. They dropped out of FTL in flashes of blue light. Some came alone. Some came in groups. Some came in massive fleets with carriers and destroyers and support vessels. "I am receiving identification signals from ships I do not recognize," Gina said. Her voice was full of wonder. "Some of these vessels are broadcasting in old languages. Old codes. Captain, some of these ships are from colony expeditions that left Earth 300 years ago. We thought they were lost." A voice came over the communication system. It was old and crackly. "This is the vessel Star Wanderer, out of the colony ship Eternal Hope, which departed Earth in the year 2542. We heard the call. We have traveled far, but we are here." Day felt something strange in his chest, something he had not felt in a long time. Pride. "Welcome, Star Wanderer," he said. "Welcome home." The pilot Bora arrived in her small fighter. It was tiny compared to the warships around her. She felt foolish. What could she do with one small ship? How could she help against an enemy fleet? But then she looked around and saw thousands of ships just like hers. Small ships. Old ships. Civilian ships that had been armed with whatever weapons their owners could find. And she understood. One ship was nothing. But together, they were a storm. The old man Wu brought his family's ship into position beside a massive carrier. His grandchildren pressed their faces against the windows and stared at the fleet. "How many ships are there, grandfather?" his granddaughter asked. Wu smiled. "I do not know. I do not think anyone knows." Admiral Han arrived on the command ship Dokdo. It was the flagship of Earth's military. A massive vessel with the best sensors and weapons humanity could build. But even the Dokdo's computers could not count the fleet. "Commander." Gina transferred to the flagship to report directly to Han. She stood on the bridge and looked at her data tablet with confusion. "Admiral." I have been trying to get an accurate count for 12 hours. It is impossible. Ships are still arriving. Some do not have transponders. Some are broadcasting on frequencies we do not monitor. Some are so old that our systems do not recognize them as ships. How many? Han asked. My best estimate is somewhere between 15 and 25,000 vessels. But it could be more. It could be much more. Gina shook her head. Sir, I cannot tally this fleet. I do not think anyone can. Han looked out at the sea of lights. 25,000 ships, maybe more. All of them here because a farmer on a distant world had asked for help. He felt the weight of command settle on his shoulders. These people had come because they trusted him to lead them. They had left their homes and their lives because they believed in something greater than themselves. He would not let them down. Set course for New Jeongju, Han ordered. We move in 6 hours. Everyone who is here comes with us. Everyone who is still on the way can catch up. The orders went out. The fleet prepared to move. Bora checked her weapons one more time. Her hands were shaking. She was scared. But she was also ready. Wu gathered his family for a meal. They ate together in the small galley of their old ship. They did not talk about what was coming. They just enjoyed being together. Day stood on the bridge of the Baekdu and watched the fleet form up for travel. It was beautiful. All those ships. All those people. All of them moving as one. This is what we are, he said softly to Gina. This is who we have always been. And then, in a wave of light that stretched across the darkness, the human fleet disappeared into faster-than-light travel. They were going to war. Admiral. Yuna of the Velen Dominion was bored. The conquest of New Jeongju was almost complete. The cities were burned. The farms were destroyed. The survivors were being gathered for enslavement. It had been easy. Too easy. The humans had not even fought back. Yuna sat on her bridge and looked at the reports from the surface. 300,000 humans had lived on this world. About half were dead. The rest would make good slaves. They were strong and healthy. Good workers. She had already sent a message to the Dominion High Council. She had told them about the new species. The humans, weak, primitive, easy to conquer. There were more human worlds out there. Many more. They would all fall just as easily. Then her censor officer spoke. His voice was strange, afraid. Admiral, we are detecting something. Yuna looked up. What is it? I am not sure. There's an energy signature approaching. It is very large. How large? The censor officer did not answer. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. He just pointed at his screen. Yuna walked over and looked at the display. For a moment, she did not understand what she was seeing. The numbers made no sense. The readings were impossible. Then the human fleet dropped out of FTL. The sky turned white. Ships appeared in a wall of light that stretched from one horizon to the other. Warships, cruisers, destroyers, carriers, freighters with guns welded to their hulls, mining ships with drills that could cut through metal, ancient vessels that looked like they belonged in museums, new vessels that gleamed with advanced technology. They filled the space around New Jeongju like stars coming to life. They blocked out the sun. They blocked out everything. Yuna's censor officer was screaming numbers. 10,000. 15,000. 20,000. The count is still rising. I cannot get an accurate reading. There are too many. That is impossible, Yuna whispered. We attacked one colony. One small world. Where did they all come from? No one had an answer. A communication request appeared on her screen. Human origin. Yuna stared at it for a long moment. Her hands were trembling. She had conquered 200 species. She had never been afraid. She was afraid now. She accepted the communication. A human face appeared on her screen. An old man with gray hair and calm eyes. He wore a military uniform. Behind him, Yuna could see the bridge of a massive warship. I am Admiral Han of the United Human Fleet, the man said. His voice was quiet, almost gentle. You attacked our people. You burned our homes. You killed our children, Yuna tried to speak. Her voice came out as a croak. We are the Velen Dominion. We have conquered. I know who you are, Han interrupted. I do not care who you are. I care about what you did. This is one colony, Yuna said. She was trying to understand, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. One small world. We did not attack your homeworld. We did not attack your military. Why? Why did you bring so many ships? Han looked at her. His eyes were sad. Not angry, sad. You do not understand us, he said. You see humans and you think we are divided, scattered, weak, and in some ways you are right. We fight with each other, we argue. We disagree about almost everything. He leaned forward. But we are family. Every human, everywhere is family. When you attacked New Jungju, you did not attack a colony. You attacked a home. Our home. And every single person behind me dropped what they were doing, left their lives behind, and came here to answer. Yuna looked at the sensor display again. The numbers were still climbing. Ships were still arriving. How many of you are there? She asked. Han smiled. It was not a kind smile. I do not know. We tried to count. Failed. And more are still coming. They will keep coming until everyone who can fly a ship is here, because that is what we do. That is who we are. Yuna looked at her 40 warships. She looked at the human fleet. The math was simple. There was no fight here. There was only death. What do you want? She asked. Surrender, Han said. Unconditionally. Now, release all prisoners. Leave this system. Go back to your dominion and tell them what you saw here today. Tell them what happens when you touch our family, and if we refuse. Han did not answer. He just looked at her. Yuna thought about fighting. She thought about dying with honor. She thought about the glory of battle. Then she thought about the faces of her crew. Young faces. Scared faces. They did not want to die. We surrender, she said. It took 17 minutes to complete the terms. The Velen ships powered down their weapons. Their soldiers on the surface laid down their arms. The prisoners were released, and the human fleet watched. 20,000 ships. Maybe more. An untolerable armada that had crossed the galaxy for one small world. Admiral Han looked at the planet below. New Jungju was still burning in places. But it was free. Send landing parties, he ordered. Medical teams, first. Find the survivors. Help them. The war was over. The message was delivered. The shelter door opened and sunlight poured in. Tae held his daughter Somi close and squinted at the brightness. He could not believe it. He had thought they would die in that small dark room. He had thought no one would come. But someone had come. A soldier stood in the doorway. She was young. She wore a uniform Tae did not recognize. She smiled at them with kind eyes. It is safe now, she said. You can come out. Tae stepped out of the shelter and looked at the sky. It was full of ships. Thousands of ships hanging in the blue like metal clouds. He had never seen anything so beautiful. Who are all those people? Somi asked. She was clinging to her father's hand. Her eyes were wide with wonder. The soldier looked up at the fleet and smiled. Those are humans. From everywhere. From Earth and Mars and the belt and colonies you have never heard of. They came to help. All of them. All of them. Tae felt tears running down his face. He had sent a message into the void. He had asked for help. And humanity had answered. Not one ship. Not one fleet. But everyone. Everyone who could fly. Everyone who could fight. Everyone who heard the call. He knelt down and held his daughter close. They came for us, he whispered. They came for us. Somi looked at the ships in the sky. Appa, I want to go up there. I want to meet them. Maybe someday you will. On the flagship Dokdo, Admiral Han watched the rescue operations on the surface. Medical teams were treating the wounded. Engineers were putting out fires. Soldiers were distributing food and water. It would take months to rebuild New Jungju. Maybe years. But the work had already begun. Commander Gina approached him. Sir, We are receiving messages from across the galaxy. Other species? They saw what happened here. They want to talk. Han nodded slowly. What are they saying? They are asking about the fleet. They want to know how we assembled so many ships so quickly. They want to know how we can work together when we are so scattered and divided. Gina paused. Some of them are afraid of us. They should not be afraid, Han said. We did not come here to conquer. We came here to protect our family. They do not understand family the way we do. Han looked out at the fleet. Ships were already starting to leave. They were going home. Back to their colonies, their stations, their lives. They had come when they were needed. Now they would return to being farmers and miners and traders and pilots. Maybe they will learn, he said. The pilot Bora landed her small fighter on the surface of New Jiangju. She stepped out and looked around at the burned fields and broken buildings. It was sad, but it was also hopeful. People were working together, helping each other. Building something new, an old farmer approached her. He had gray hair and tired eyes, and a young girl holding his hand. You came, the farmer said. His voice was full of emotion. You all came. Bora smiled at him. You called. We answered, but why? You do not know me. You do not know this world. Why did you come? Bora looked at the fleet in the sky. She thought about her small ship, her tiny contribution to this vast armada, one drop in an ocean of humanity. Because you are family, she said. We do not leave family behind. Not ever. The old man Wu brought his ship down to help with the relief efforts. His grandchildren helped unload supplies. His wife organized the distribution. His whole family worked together. His granddaughter came to him at the end of the day. She was tired, but happy. Grandfather, I understand now, she said. I understand why we came. Wu smiled at her. Tell me, because this could have been us. Any of our worlds. Any of our homes. And if it was us, they would have come for us. All of them. Yes, Wu said. That is exactly right. In the months that followed, the story spread across the galaxy. A species that had been conquered by the Velen Dominion heard about the humans, the strange, scattered, chaotic species that had assembled an untolerable fleet in mere days. Not because they were ordered to, not because they were paid, but because one world had asked for help. The Velen Dominion collapsed within a year. Without their military power, they could not hold their empire together. The species they had conquered rose up and freed themselves, and the galaxy learned a lesson that would be remembered for 1,000 years. Never attack a human colony, because to humanity, number colony is just a colony. It is home. It is family. And when you threaten family, you face everyone. On New Junju, they built a memorial, a simple stone with simple words. They came for us, all of them. And every year, ships would return. Thousands of ships. The descendants of those who had answered the call. They would hang in the sky like stars coming to life. They would remember what their parents and grandparents had done. They would remember who they were. Somi grew up to be a pilot. She flew a small ship between the stars. She carried cargo and passengers and messages. And everywhere she went, she told the story. My father was a farmer. He sent a message into the void. And humanity answered. People would ask her how many ships came that day. She would smile and say what her father had told her. No one ever will. Because humanity does not count itself. We just show up. We just answer. That is who we are. That is who we will always be. And in the vast darkness of space, wherever humans lived, wherever humans dreamed, wherever humans called out for help, the answer was always the same. They came. All of them.